Having a little bit of fun today. And day 14 of the 60 Days to Automate Challenge. So, this week we've been talking about content creation and the different automations that we can create in the marketing sense, from creating personas to writing blog posts and creating social media captions that resonate with. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about AI and image generation. The goal today is by the end of this, you're going to be a master at generating images that are photorealistic or abstract, pretty much whatever you can imagine. By the end of this day, you're going to know exactly how to get the shot that you. I know it's a little hard to get started with AI and image generation because you see all these great images, but maybe yours don't turn out just as well. So, the purpose of this session is to help you with that. So, we are going to be going over 3 tools today. We're going to be going over DALL-E, MidJourney, and Leonardo. There are 3 that I've used, and they all have their pros and cons. I'm just going to go into each one of these. So, with ChatGPT, you can create an image by just coming in and clicking on the create image. You're going to give it a start, and I could say image of a puppy. So you can come in here, say create an image of, and just describe what you want. Little puppy. One of the nice things about ChatGPT is that you can just click on this and you can do what's called in painting. So, for instance, here I can click this button up at the top where it says select and click on that. And let's give it a party hat. And you can just highlight an area, you can tell it to remove something, you can tell it to add something. And what it's going to do is it's going to regenerate that image with that area selected based off of what you said. So as we can see here, we just put a party hat on the dog. This makes it really easy and really accessible for a lot of people to get into image generation. One other tool, the other thing that is really great about DALL-E is that it also has an API. So you can do all of the things that you can do in ChatGPT, you can do within the API. And as automators, we love APIs, anything that we can hook up to our other automations for these images. So, but great for just coming in and getting started with image generation. You can then, if you want to get this, you can just save this and download it. You can then continue to work with it and edit it in this chat window. So another one that I like is MidJourney. MidJourney is one of the first image generators products that came out and really has great quality images. My only gripe with them is they don't have an API to use, at least not one that's officially supported. So when you're trying to hook it up to automations and things, it really doesn't really doesn't work as well. So you can just go in here and you can just type in what you want to create an image of. So as you can see here, it's going through and creating these images. And one of the cool things that you can see here is that you can actually see it generated. The other nice thing is that it gives you 4 variations of the image. Now, so that you can choose, do I want this type of puppy, this type, whereas in ChatGPT, it just gave me one version. Now, in terms of pricing as well, I believe that in order to use the ChatGPT, you do need ChatGPT Plus to be able to use the image editing and some of those tools. This also is $8 a month. That will give you around 200 images. So depending on your needs, you can go here. So when you click into any one of these images, you're given, you can do things like upscale it, where you can have it. That's usually good for when you want to correct, maybe it has some blemishes. It can usually help with that. Usually it doesn't necessarily get rid of all of them, or to make it larger. So a lot of these have the options for creating smaller images and things like that. And then two, you can vary the different options for creating it. So some different options here. I'm not going to go into too many of the different ones. What I'm going to do is I want to focus more on the prompting, because at the end of the day, when you want to get something, it's going to be based that you can really use. It's going to be based off of the prompt. These image creators are getting very good about just creating images that look real. But I'm going to teach you in this lesson how to get those shots that you want in the style that you want, the mood that you're trying to set, and give you all those tools. And then at the end, you're going to have a nice little sidekick that will help you generate these anytime you want. All right, so what we're going to do, so the third one we're going to talk about is Leonardo, and Leonardo is actually my favorite. This is my go-to because it has so many different options. They have image creation like you can do in DALL-E and in MidJourney. They do have an API, which is great. Both of this platform does cost money as well, and you get tokens. I am on their lowest plan, and I'm telling you, I use this a lot for a lot of my marketing, a lot of my business, and the lowest plan seems to be fine for me. And then also too, one of the nice things that it does what's called a rollover bank, where unused fast tokens will accumulate over time. So if you don't use them, then they just roll over, which I think is really nice. So thank you, Leonardo, for doing those types of things. I really really like the product, but there's also so many different things you can do, from style references to consistent characters. There's a real-time canvas which you can play around with and add different ones with the different, so you can literally, as you're playing with it, hold on, this is not getting safer. You can play around with that in real time. And then so it works very much like if I want to go in here, create an image of a puppy, I can generate this. But over on the left, I'm given so many options, from the style of, do I want it 16 by 9, or is it just square or vertical, depending on how I'm going to be using this. How many images? I can get up to 8 at a time. I can also choose between all of these different preset styles. And these preset styles really are a way to help with one aspect of it, which is styling, which we'll go over today. But play around with these to whatever style you like. So there's creative, dynamic, there's ones for illustration, or do you want photos? So there's lots of different styles. I tend to go to cinematic or creative, depending on the type of content that I'm creating. So as you can see here, as I click on this, I can then upscale this, download it. I can also do things like remove background. I can also zoom out the image. I can upscale it. So lots of different things. And then, of course, I can always move it into my real-time canvas editor to then make changes like we did in DALL-E. But for the purposes of this, what we're going to do is we're going to go over all of the different prompts and how you can generate prompts that will, no matter what platform you're using, generate the exact image that you're looking for whatever creative project that you're working on. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through here and we're going to talk about each of these styles, and then we're going to put each of these prompts in each of the 3 image generators, DALL-E, MidJourney, and Leonardo, so that you can see the differences yourself. Like I said, it's about stylistic, about what your needs are, whether it's API or just creating one-off images. But the goal of this is to show you what the different prompting styles are while showing you the different images. All right, let's get into it. So first, if you're working with photorealistic images, the first thing that you want to be able to specify are the cameras and lenses. So just like with prompting with text, with everyone saying, always be specific. Well, the types of cameras is is something to be specific about. And you'll see how specific these images need to be, or these prompts need to be able to create the images that you want. Because different cameras, they'll suit different scenes, different moods. It's also, or they have, so when these models are being trained, they have what's called metadata. So when a digital image is taken, you can see this on your iPhones if you put this into iPhoto, or in some, I think, Windows, right click and show the properties. But it'll show what type of camera that it was taken on, what the, a lot of times what the shutter speed, all of that information. So by giving it that information, it's also giving it information when generating of the style of photo that you're looking for, the type of lens, the depth, those types of things matter when specifying it. And also too, it can just help with field of view and stuff like that. So some examples are like the Canon EOS 5D Mark IV, right? It's good for landscapes and events. And I have a bunch of these as we go through these options with descriptions of when they should be used throughout this entire lesson. So don't worry, you can get all of this at digitalatscale.com. So here we have, and then for cinematic quality, we have things like the Canon Cinema EOS. So, you know, that high-end cinema grade image quality, and, or maybe you want to do a drone shot. So the DJI Phantom 4. These are all things that are going to help give the AI a little bit of perspective about what type of image you're trying to do. So the first one we're going to do here is this one, which is, and I'll read it out here, a hyper-realistic portrait of a young woman with intricate facial details, photographed with a Canon EOS 5D Mark IV and a Canon EF 50mm f 1.2L USM lens. So when we talk about being specific, this is what we mean. Using natural sunlight. The image should capture her face with soft shadows and warm tones and a nostalgic film style resembling Kodak Portra 800 film. So even saying what type of film that it's on. So let's go over here and let's put this image prompt into Leonardo. We're going to put it into MidJourney, and we're going to put it into DALL-E. So let's go back over here. So as you can see, oh, interesting. It actually put the Canon, photo in there. Interesting. But you can see it's kind of a hyper realistic, integral face details. And one of the things I think why this doesn't look as realistic is because I have this creative filter on. So if I was, let me actually redo this one to, for instance, stock photo. Let's do cinematic for these exercises. Let me do that. All right, let's go over to MidJourney and see what this is. So as you can see with MidJourney, it really captured that for the type of film that it's on. Look at that. This is where MidJourney really just sets itself apart from other image creators, to be honest. As you can see here, so this is where DALL-E really doesn't do as well as is with realistic photos. So if you're trying to really get realistic photos, MidJourney and I would say Leonardo as well is going to be your best bet. So here, still put the Canon in there. So it's kind of getting that. This one looks not as realistic, but some of these you'd have to rescale and play around with. You can see the different styles that it is going. Actually, let me go over one of the things we have. So I'm going to change this from the Phoenix, and I'm going to actually change this over to the stock photography. So you can, depending on, thing is that there's always that Leonardo blend. So there's almost too many options to choose from on Leonardo to really get what you're looking for. So let's keep it on Phoenix. All right, let's go to our next one. All right, so a cinematic drone shot. So if you had something that you're going to do with a cinematic drone, let's create one here. And we're going to generate this with I'm going to do stock photo on this. So let's say you're needing a stock photo for our travel site, perhaps. Let's just go over here and put that in here. And we're going to go ahead and do that into DALL-E. So let's see. Oh, look at that. So it has the sun coming through. If you zoom in, you got the nice lush green with the rivers going through. That's really great. Ooh, look at this one. It kind of has that little fork there with the rapids going in. Let's see how that water looks. So this is where you could also upscale this. Let me just upscale. There we go. As you can see, it's going to do this. It's going to make it the upscaler styler. It could be artistic or realistic. In this case, we want it realistic. So I'm going to choose that. And we're going to see what that looks like. All right, let's take a look. Ooh, look at this. So this is where this looks like it still almost has that film. But as you can see, it has the sun bursting through. It's a slight little different in the styles here. But as you can see, pretty similar to what we had over here. So let's see what ChatGPT. See, ChatGPT, it looks like it's still like a video game, that uncanny valley a little bit. I've never really been a fan of DALL-E's image style, to be completely honest. But we're going to go through all of these with that same thing. All right, so that's cameras. So next the next up is camera angle and shot type. So this can really impact the emotional impact. So if someone's towering over you, or if it's shot from above, these can draw emotional impact to whatever type of photograph and image you're trying to. This can help with determining, do you want that close-up shot of the face? Do you want it from afar? Do you want it to be like bird's eye view? Do you want it to be over the shoulder kind of view when you're interview style or something like that? These all just convey different thoughts, emotions, power, vulnerability. These are the things that you're trying to elicit with defining the camera angles. So some of these would be like the eye level shots, high angle shot. You have extreme, so you can see how you can play with that. You have side angle, shot from behind, and these are just options that we have here with that. Like I said, you can download all of these at Digital at Scale after this is done. Sign up at Digital at Scale. We have extreme close-up shots, and these are just some ideas to get going. Another great resource, obviously, is AI to help you brainstorm different styles. Let's see this in action. So powerful low angle shot. So on this one, I'm going to read it out loud. It's a powerful low angle shot of a towering skyscraper against a stormy sky, taken with a Sony Alpha A7 III camera and a Sony FE 16 35mm f 2.8 GM lens. The perspective exaggerates the building's height, making it appear imposing and majestic with dark clouds swirling. Let's take a look at this, and let's put it into ChatGPT, and we're going to put it into MidJourney, and we're going to put it into Leonardo, and let's see. All right. Oh, look at that. So you can see that really low angle shot right up the side of the building. Looks like it's going into the clouds there. Into the heavens, brings that sense of being drawn into the photo. I could see that being really cool to be a background on a Instagram post or a reel. It'd be really good. All right. Ooh, so we have some more. Maybe it gave a little bit of flair there. This one looks like it's going into something very ominous. Not sure I'd want to go into there. It looks something like what is it? Independence Day when they're coming in. So these don't look as real on this one. Oh, that one looks pretty nice and real. So it really depends on what you're going for. It gave a few different styles there. So we have all these buildings are very tall. I guess that's from when you're looking at them. When you are standing right next to them, they do feel like they do just go straight into the air when you're standing right in front of it. All right. Oh, look at this one. Looks like it's kind of bending towards you. But you get the idea where this is just a different camera angle. Let's take a look at the second prompt here. So an aerial, so from the other angle, the bird's eye view. So we have a wide cinematic bird's eye view of a dense forest with fog rolling over the treetops, captured with a DJI Phantom 4 Pro drone camera at dawn. The misty, soft light adds mystery and depth, creating an expansive, atmospheric scene that captures the serenity and scale of the. All right, let's take a look at this one. And we're going to start off with Leonardo here. And we're going to change this from the stock photo. We're going to make this cinematic on this one. And we're going to go here. It does have some filters over here. Let's see what they are. So you can on MidJourney now. It's been a minute since I've used this. Portrait, square, landscape. You can do some stylization in these sliders. I think the weirdness, stylization, and this is one of the things, so stylization, so it influences how strongly the MidJourney aesthetic is applied. Right here we have it very low, so if you wanted to crank it up to like what they have it, great. But you really don't have a lot of options here. That's kind of why I like Leonardo a little bit better. But the images that it generates are better. So maybe I do like the MidJourney style. All right, let's take a look. Let's put this one. All right, so check this out. Ooh, so it put the drone in there. So that's one of the things. Sometimes it actually puts the camera, as we saw with that first one, or the drone when you put it there. I'll look at this. See, and one of the things that I like about MidJourney too is its ability to do video. So, for instance, let's say I wanted to actually make this a video. Where is? Keep moving things around. Oh, here we go. Right there. So create motion video right here. So if I wanted to go over here, say motion strength, I can just go here. So if I wanted to actually create it so it was like that drone flying over it, I can just use that and we'll see what that looks like. So let's go over here. So this shot from the top, oh, look at that. So we got hovering over there. Look at that fog kind of rolling in. That looks really good. Really good texture on that fog. Really good. I think this is my favorite though. I really like that. Looking down, bird's eye view. I would say this is kind of a really looking down at it. That's really cool. Once again, I feel like I'm looking at a video game somatic. So if that's your aesthetic, ChatGPT and DALL-E's what it is, but let's take a look. So it looks like our video is still going. All right. Well, look at that. So you can see that you can easily create B-rolls for your videos, maybe for our travel. So when we're talking about maybe a forest or something like that, we can add this B-roll of the different, or trying to set a tone. Or this is really great for film producers or movie makers that want to lay out their scenes. All right, so next one we have our lighting. So anyone will tell you if you're doing anything with camera, lighting matters. It sets the sets the tone, the mood, the impact. These are all things that if you have harsh lighting versus this real warm lighting, or maybe it's a neon type lighting, these can evoke different emotions, can set the tone, set the emotion of what you're trying to accomplish. So these are just some ideas. Sunny, snowy, if you want it overcast, or we saw foggy in the last one. You have underwater lighting that has a special type of lighting. Do you want to have that flash? So it's like a photograph, so it looks kind of that natural in dark place flash, so you get more natural look. Spotlights. These are all things that you can use to help. One of the ones that I like is golden hour. Whenever you go out and you're trying to do outdoor photography, you always want to hit what's called the golden hour, and that's usually either right when the sun's rising or when it's set. It's not too harsh. It's great for the lenses. It's great for capturing. So, and you have to be there at one of two times. You have to either be there in the morning or at sunrise. So setting up these scenes are pretty costly. So here you can generate it with a serene landscape shot of a meadow at golden hour, captured with a Canon EOS R5 camera and a Canon RF 50mm f1.2L USM lens. Scene has a soft, warm glow with long shadows cast by the setting sun. illuminating the wildflowers, gentle orange and pink hues, evoking a peaceful, timeless feeling. So let's take that and let's put it into, we're going to do Leonardo and MidJourney and DALL-E and or ChatGPT. So it keeps putting the camera in there, which I think is funny. I haven't had that happen. Usually I have the subject of what I'm shooting. But as you can tell, so maybe if you're doing an ad commercial for that, but what we're seeing here is it's caught at that golden hour. It's the subject. So let's just say of a woman in a meadow. So basically, so that it has a little bit, it thought that it was the object of the itself, which I think is kind of funny. All right, let's take a look at what MidJourney got us. Oh, look at that. So sun kind of glistening in. Oh, look, so the sun's setting. It's that golden hour. You got the clouds up there, the meadows there. You got it right behind the trees. Those are really good. Ooh, see, that's just a little too harsh. That's not golden hour. That's almost hurts my eyes on that a little bit. But I think that that's not. All right, let's take a look. All right. So right here we have picture in a meadow during that golden hour. All right. Take a look at the second prompt that we're going to be doing. All right. The next one we're going to do is foggy, and we're a cinematic at night. So we're going to give it a foggy, atmospheric city street, softly lit by dim street lamps, taken with a Sony A7S III and a Sigma 35mm f1.2 DG DN art lens. The scene feels mysterious, with mist diffusing the lights and casting soft shadows, creating an eerie yet captivating mood. And this time I'm going to put in a person, a man standing in, here we go, just so that it doesn't try to make the camera the focal point. Although we should do it without one too. See what it does. All right. Here we go. We are going to say a man. All right. So here it is, dark, foggy nights. You got that softly lit by street lamps. That's really cinematic. It didn't make the person, so it did do just the cinematic scene. It didn't try to put the camera in there this time. So let's see here. So you can see that it captured the fog, the dimly light, and it sets a different tone. Oh, we forgot to hit enter on that one. Here we go. So same thing, although this one looks pretty realistic. This one is much more realistic than what I've seen out of DALL-E. So interesting. It looks a little bit better. All right. And we have, so MidJourney looks way more photorealistic. So you can see the cars, you can see the lights glistening off of the cars. You can see each of the branches on this tree around there, which is pretty amazing. In this one, you see the city neon lights, the city lights behind it, but it still has that lighting with the street lamps and the soft glow. This was more like what the other two gave. Oh, this is cool. This looks reminds me of home, San Francisco. This is kind of, I think I've actually seen this scene where you have the hills going up and the fog with not that many street lights. They went a little overboard on the number of street lights, but the bay windows and the trash cans in there. Yeah, definitely good. All right. You can see how lighting really affects the mood of the different photos. So next thing we're going to talk about are ambience. So do you want it to be dark and mysterious, or light and airy? Just how that is going to set the emotional photo. And then also the stylistic piece of it. Do you want it to be cyberpunk? Do you want it to be neon? Do you want it to be traditional? Do you want it to be futuristic looking? These are all things that you can add to give it. So things like dark and moody, or historical, black and white, cyberpunk, muted tones like urban grunge. These are all different types of ambience styling that you can use. So we're going to use one to create a mystical and ethereal scene. So it's a mystical forest scene with an ethereal glow filtering through tall trees, creating soft diffused light. The atmosphere feels enchanted and serene, with faint mint swirling at ground level, giving a dreamlike quality to the scene. Now, I noticed it didn't have the camera here, but I'm really trying to show different styles because sometimes you don't always want something that is going to be hyper realistic, like a mythical scene. So, in those cases, you don't necessarily need to put the camera. The camera is really good for when you're wanting to capture real scenes, photorealistic, captures of real people, those types of things. But as you can see, even with not giving it, it really tried, but here this looks straight up. I don't know, that's not really good on this one. Dolly. Here we have that, mystical forest scene. This still really does look more photography generated. This one looks a little whitewashed a little bit. Oh, this one gave it a little rustic style. Interesting. All right, let's take a look at these. So we have a little bit more saturated, looks more like video game-y. And this is where too, these, especially so if I creative and generate this, you're probably going to see a little bit different of an image, but with the same prompt. So I usually with Leonardo just play around between the ones that I like. So as you can see, it gave it a little bit of a different, more greenish tint. Not sure if I like that any better. But all right, so the next one we're gonna do with this is a cyberpunk. This is one of my favorites. One of my companies has a little cyberpunk punk theme to it, and kind of has that neon. So it's a bustling city street at night with neon lit signs and a dark, moody atmosphere. Scene is gritty with rain reflecting the colorful lights, creating a dramatic contrast in a cyberpunk noir style, evoking a sense of mystery and intensity. So we have here this cyberpunkish, almost looks like a scene out of Cyberpunk 2025. Oh, that looks way more cyberpunk, a little bit more video gamey, as you can see here. This kind of illustration. So you can see it has that dark, rainy, like you're playing a video game. So let's put this in MidJourney and let's put it in DALL-E as well. All right, so with MidJourney gave that same kind of feel. Apparently everything in cyberpunk. Oh, here's much more of a futuristic. I don't know if I said futuristic. No, it just said bustling city lights. So this looks a little bit more futuristic. I guess I didn't tell it to. Oh, this looks pretty cool. I like this one. How the light just glistens off of the cars. This is a pretty good one. Let's see what it did. So the neons really got cranked up. So you see a really big oversaturation of colors in dollies. I feel like they really have it just dialed up a lot. Lots of pinks, lots of glows on that. All right. The next one's a little controversial, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to add it, but I wanted to make sure that you knew about it and that this is a style, because at the end of the day, these have all been trained off of the hard work of a lot of photographers, filmmakers, artists, and how these were procured, let's just say, probably wasn't the most ethical way. So there's people that won't use these at all. And the way I feel about it is that I come from a remix culture. I used to DJ, and I think that remixing art, I don't think stealing, but there has to be a way that artists and photographers can get compensated when these images get created in their styles. There has to be a way that companies can come together to be able to give artists and photographers and filmmakers that have those unique styles can be created from these, that they can monetize that, increases more creativity and originality. So some of the ways that you can do it is for stylistic influence. You can enhance like an atmosphere. It can help, especially parody stuff. There was a whole meme going around about a year ago with Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson has a very unique style, which we'll go into. But depending on the different types of styles, Wes Anderson has symmetrical pastel tones, kind of quirky a little bit. Then you have something like Steven Spielberg, which has a dreamy and nostalgic kind of feeling. You have Ridley Scott or Peter Jackson Tim Burton has a really, when you're watching a Tim Burton movie. These are all different ways that you can help to guide, especially cinematic type and realistic photography. So our first one is Wes Anderson. So as you can see, this is like something that's from Wes Anderson. And we're going to go over to here. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So here, and what it used to do is a lot of these, well, some of them, and we'll have, looks like, all right, it has that quirky pastels colors on it. Now, some, and I'm interested to see what will happen here. Let's say a man standing in front of let's say woman. Let's do that so it's a little bit more, it's not just that. So it gives that camera angle too. This is where we could be using the different angles, and I'll have a prompt template at the end of this that you can use. Now, depending on what you're trying to ask for, some of them refuse to do it, rightfully so. Interesting. This is more like that. It looks a little similar to this. You can see where it has the symmetrical piece, the pastel. That kind of is what AI defines, I guess, as Wes Anderson style. Here's one. So a woman standing in front of it or down the side in the middle. This one actually put Wes Anderson right, standing just right around a bunch of Wes Anderson. Here you go. Interesting. So it's funny. I think that a lot of these might even be overcompensating because it used to be, and even so on Leonardo and some of these, I bet Stability and Grok probably still do it, but I think they not as much. So the next one we're going to do is Alfred Hitchcock inspired scenes. So this one is a dramatic portrait of a woman in a suspenseful, shadow-laden setting with a high contrast, moody lighting that casts dark, mysterious shadows around her. The lighting is focused to create sharp highlights on one side of her face, leaving the other side partially obscured in the shadow, evoking an atmosphere of intrigue and tension. The background fades into a deep, dark blur, amplifying the sense of isolation, while subtle, narrow light beams slice through the darkness, reminiscent of the suspenseful lighting often seen in Hitchcock's classic film noir scenes. I know I'm not probably pronouncing that right. So I created this prompt to show that you don't necessarily need to add the person's. You can describe it if you want, but you can also use it to describe that style. So you don't have to use the person's name in case it ever does flag it. So here we go. We're going to put it into Leonardo, and we're going to put it into, I'm going to remove Hitchcock. I'm going to remove this often seen. Interesting. Here you go. All right. That looks like Sarah Connor a little bit. These are okay. I like these better. Like I said, MidJourney just images are just way better generating truly photorealistic images. As you can see, it just goes right through there. You can see the shadows. So if you're really looking for photorealistic, this is your platform. Like I said, though, here we go. I was unable to generate the requested images due to some issues during processing. Let's do this. Let's take out that. And I bet you it'll magically work. I'm going to do that same one here. So you can see, I wouldn't say that those were Hitchcock inspired by any means. I was thinking more black and white and gritty. So, but these do elicit that feeling, especially this one right here. So as you can see, even without adding the name, we got something similar on it. And as with all image generation, especially something like this, you have to play around with it. So here you go. All right. So it looks like ChatGPT is still having issues, so we won't get to see what that scene looks like. Hopefully we get to see the rest from them. All right, next one are color choices and themes. So this can help set an emotional tone. This is where you can define different colors. Do you want a cool effect? Do you want monochromatic or inverted colors? Do you want that pop art or earth tones? This is where you can really set it. However, I wouldn't use this for specific colors. No image generator is going to be able to give you the exact color. So if you're using image generation for brand specific, I wouldn't recommend it. So let's go to the next one. So here we have muted earth tones. So I'm going to put this into Leonardo, and we're going to go into MidJourney, and we're going to try a new chat. And we're going to say, create an image of this. Let's see if that works. All right, here we go. So as we can see here, we asked for a muted earth tone palette. It definitely has a muted earth tone palette. So it even affected the lighting on that. These look like a little bit. So here we have, once again, it's muted, earthy. So you get the idea. Let's go to the next one. Or let's see what it did on ChatGPT. Oh, here we go. So same kind of muted earth tones. Let's take a look at the next one. And neon and high contrast. So we're going to do a neon lit city at night with vivid colors and high contrast. The lights from the signs reflect off rain-soaked streets, creating a vibrant, energetic atmosphere in a cyberpunk color scheme. All right, let's take a look at that one. All right, once again, DALL-E oversaturated of colors, but it definitely did neon lit city. We saw that in the other one. So these look a little bit like the cyberpunk ones, to be completely honest, when we were talking about it. So we got that neon, high contrast. These look very similar to the ones we just did. And then here with neon. If you notice too, when we're not adding the camera styles, they don't look as realistic. So we're just showing the colors and the different contrasts from this and the different items, but we don't add those details. They stop looking as realistic. MidJourney still has the most realistic out of the box, but the other two really do not look that realistic when removing things like camera, lighting, and all right. The next one is around realism versus abstraction. So sometimes you want a photo, we were just talking about, to be completely real. You want it to be realistic, like it's a photograph, and that's, or sometimes you want it to be, kind of abstract. You want it to be not real. This is just absurd looking, out of proportion, different items. And then also too, maybe sometimes you want a blended style. So for instance, you want a realistic photo with maybe a Lego background, current thumbnail style. I don't know if I'm going to keep. And this is where you can really say, hey, do I need a photograph? Do I want something that's a little bit more creative, something that you wouldn't normally see in real life? This is where you can guide that lever. So here we're going to create a hyper realistic fantasy landscape. So here we're going to do this. So the prompt is a hyper realistic fantasy landscape with lush oversized flowers and surreal swirling clouds. The scene is vivid and detailed, blending realism with fantasy elements to create a whimsical, otherworldly environment. So we're trying to create this something that you wouldn't normally see a photograph of. So this is more magical. So, for instance, here, great for a kid's book or something like that. Here, you can once again see these really billowing clouds and these oversized flowers here. And then let's take a look at MidJourney. So MidJourney gave it a little mystical feel, very, very much swirling clouds. There you go. These are hyper real fantasy. So realistic fantasy, so a little blend of both. So now we're going to do abstract geometric forms. So this is good for creating shapes. So the prompt here is, a bold abstract image composed of colorful geometric forms floating in a surreal, dreamy space. The composition uses sharp shapes and contrasting colors, creating a sense of conceptual minimalist abstraction. So let's take a look at that one. All right. So as you can see here, this is adding just actual shapes. This is great for abstract, great for when you're doing background images, which I'll show another way you can do this. So maybe you just want to have, this would look good on maybe like an ad with maybe your product inside of it and some text on the left. to just create more of like an abstract background. Similar here. Oh, this looks pretty cool. I could see that being on an Instagram reel. Same thing here. You could add some motion to this, which would actually be really cool, which we'll show in one of our later days. Maybe get the planets swirling or something like that. This one has pretty good images. Wow. MidJourney really has stepped it up here in a while. I just wish they had an API. So here we have another did really good job. So this is where I think DALL-E really does shine, is with things like abstract art, logos without text. That's where I think DALL-E really does shine when you're not looking for hyper realistic. MidJourney's great for hyper realistic. They're doing looks like better with abstract. DALL-E is really good for abstract art and unrealistic and cartoonish ones. And then Leonardo gives you a little bit of everything. A little too many options to be able to go through these, but that's the difference there. All right. So the next are emotions. So you want to also include different emotions, because if I say a man standing in a street, and it's a tense emotion versus a man standing in a street with a joyous, maybe there's a parade going down, maybe it's in a dark alley. Just having suspense or joy, or we've already talked about how lighting and tone can affect the emotion of it. But also too, it can help guide viewers to just set some narrative context. So like some of the motions you can do are things like suspense, fear, anger, surprise, especially when you're working with a person like a man surprised, or a woman joy. Then you also do things like sci-fi or drama or thriller, so different types of styles for different movies. And then you also have action movie or musical, or maybe a war, depending on what you're trying to set. So we're going to do that by first doing a romantic nostalgia. So the prompt is, go ahead and put it in here while these are, all right. The prompt for this one is a soft nostalgic scene of a couple dancing under string lights in a quiet outdoors garden setting. The lighting is warm and diffused with gentle shadows cast by the trees, capturing a tender sense of love and warmth. Styled in a romantic cinematic genre, scene has a vintage sepia tone color palette that enhances the emotional nostalgic atmosphere. So here we put this in Leonardo. So as you can see, it has that nostalgia. Almost looks like it's in my grandma's picture book or something like that. So, it's like a picture of grandpa at the wedding in their backyard. Excellent. So very similar. It looks a little bit more modern on this one, but once again caught that romantic nostalgia in the lighting, where it has that feeling that they're in love. The sun coming through here, they all captured that feeling there. All right. Now we're going to talk about a suspenseful thriller. So suspenseful thriller. So this is the prompt is a dark alleyway in a gritty urban setting, lit only by a dim, flickering streetlight, creating shadows that obscure parts of the scene. The atmosphere is tense and mysterious, with a low-angle shot that amplifies the suspenseful cinematic thriller vibe. Styled in noir? I'm going to have to look up how to say that word. With high contrast and muted colors, the scene conveys a feeling of imminent danger and unease. All right, let's take a look at Leonardo. So Leonardo captured that going through the never-ending tunnel and alleyway. This one looks like it ends, but looks like there. Oh, this one added a little, it looks like a photo on the side. Oh, these look like more like alleys I do not want to go down. No, thank you. All right, nice and foggy on that piece. So here, once again, just the lighting is so harsh on DALL-E. These lights are just really piercing through here. So I've never really been a fan of their hyper abstract. Looked great. Like this photo, love it. Great for creating that sort of stuff, but not really for photos. All right. The next thing I'm going to talk about in the last one are materials and texture. So a lot of times, and the main way that I use AI is not necessarily for creating the images themselves. I'm creating backgrounds. I'm creating some textures for them throwing into Canva for a webinar or for something to put a customer's product on top of. I'm not necessarily using it to create the whole image. I'm using it to create a part of the image. And here you can, this is where AI can really shine, where you can set depth and different details for different types of backgrounds and get that look and that feel for maybe, so it's not just plain text, like Legos on the background that you want to generate. So here, the different types of backgrounds like matte, glossy, metallic, and you can use these on top of images as well too to give it a particular style of maybe if you're like a photograph, like a glossy photograph versus the matte. You can also do things like canvas, brick wall, snowy ground, gritty asphalt looking over textured sand. These really help generate and can help you generate things for creating your own wrapping paper, sending it off for texture to actually be printed. If you're into crafting, finding that perfect thing to cover whatever you're crafting. So what we're gonna do here is a vintage paper texture. So this is meant to give it that image gets on it, like that text is laying on it. So let's put that one into each of these and see which of these does textures the best. And one of the things with Leonardo is it actually has an option, I believe, not in here, but I think it's in graphic design. I'm going to choose graphic design for this one. So if you want more abstract, which we are doing here, I'm going to choose it for that. So here we saw with MidJourney, it gives that gritty paper. So if I was doing a video and I wanted to have, maybe you're doing type ahead for text for a news report or something, you can have that in the background. Maybe you want to give it a little color so it looks worn. Let's put this in ChatGPT as well. So I use these backgrounds a lot for when I'm trying to set different aesthetics for videos and things like that I create. So here, it didn't do as well, actually. Let's see if we can do stock photo with more lightning, but I'm gonna say none, actually. I should have been doing that the whole time, actually. Let's try that again on Leonardo. It didn't do as well. I kind of gave a little bit, so maybe if I was doing like an old-timey one for a video, I gave it that look. A little bit more browner or beige. All right, next up, we have a metallic iridescent texture. So a vibrant iridescent metallic background with soft waves and color gradients that shift from teal to purple. And this is so we can create a really, really rich. The reflective surface adds a modern futuristic touch, ideal for tech or fashion themed design. So once again, like I said, I'm usually using this in a way that I am just trying to create backgrounds for videos, for ads, things like that. Oh, interesting. ChatGPT gave me a circle for the last one. All right, so you can see here, this would be really cool for a background. I'm actually going to also upscale this for a video. So you can see, so if you wanted to add some motion to it, oh, look at this. This looks pretty. You could use this, maybe you're doing like music or maybe an art show and you wanted to do this. And these are great patterns that you could use in yours. So once again, DALL-E does have some really good patterns as well. In Leonardo, there is actually, now that I think about it, there is this one, which is, if you go into here, so these feature guides, texture generation. So here, this is specifically for texture generation. So if you wanted to create textures for 3D models, you could upload your model and start texturing it. So if you're creating video games, you need texture for clothing or things like that. That's another reason that Leonardo is really set apart. All right. So made it this far. I want to give you my main image prompt template. And if you use this template and if you use the tips that are throughout this video, you'll create hyper realistic shots in the way that you do be. So here's the template. So A, scene or subject description. So you want to describe whatever your scene or your subject is. Captured in a, this is where you say the shot. Is it a high angle shot, bird eye shot? Give it a camera type. You can use my guidebook at digitalatScale.com that will be part of this to see what the different camera types are, and a lens. The lighting is dark. Is it night? Is it the golden hour? Creating a, what are you trying to, what's the ambiance? What's the style you're trying to create? Styled in the manner of, you're trying to mimic a photographer or a filmmaker or a cinematic genre or emotional and then you give it suspenseful, you want to say joy, whatever emotional tone you're trying. The colors are for colors you want to choose, and the material background is this, whatever background that you want. The image is, and then add any additional details like the focus, what's happening in the photo, anything you want else about it. If you use this prompt template, you'll be able to generate really striking photos. So let's see an example of that. So here we go. A misty forest clearing with an ancient stone monument captured in a wide shot with a Canon EOS 5D Mark IV. The lighting is soft and diffused, creating a dark and moody ambiance, styled in the manner of Guillermo del Toro or a fantasy thriller. The colors are muted earth tones, and the background features a textured stone wall with moss. The image is highly detailed with intricate textures on the stone and soft shadows in the mist. So let's go and we'll put this into MidJourney, Leonardo, and all right. So we have ChatGPT, MidJourney, and Leonardo all doing this. So here we go. As you can see, we have some details. It's shot there. It actually tried to add these here. So as you can see, these kind of images, all the detail, the mood, the setting, stylistic. All right. Here we have MidJourney. And once again, MidJourney, I think, just really knocks it out of the park with just realism. Look at the integrals. And let's zoom in a little bit on this. It's not letting me zoom. Oh, all right. Never mind. Let's take a look. Ooh. So this has a lot more integral details in the stone. Not as realistic looking, but I think that's probably one of my favorites, actually. So I use, depending on what I'm trying to do, whatever I'm actually working with, whatever project I'm working with, whether I'm doing textures, backgrounds, image thumbnails, or any other sorts of ads. It's really up to you, but I wanted to show you the different best practices for creating these. But I also wanted to leave you with a sidekick. So if you sign up at digitalatScale.com and go to, or if you sign up for Answer AI, and you'll have this photography prompt generator. So here I can simply just say a scene in on the beach with on vacation with my friends. So here it's going to, I just have to give it that base one. So this is one that I use to be able to create my headshots for this. So what it takes all those best practices and puts it into it. So for instance, right here, go ahead and copy this one out, and we're going to paste it in here in Leonardo, in MidJourney, and in DALL. So as you can see, it followed that, capturing who it was capturing, the scene. The main subject is a bald white person sitting comfortably on a beach chair. So here you can see that actually is probably one of the most realistic photos I've seen come out of DALL, actually. So we have here, oh, it's funny. This one actually created a image, even though I told it what camera to use. But this one looks pretty interesting. And then we have, oh, wow, look at this. You still have a little bit more. So this is where, for instance, the preset style, if I put this as cinematic and I generated this same thing, we'll see how the different styles work in Leonardo. So all of these prompts and everything are available at digitalatScale.com, and you can start generating hyper realistic images for your next creative project. So tomorrow, we're going to be going over how to generate a weekly newsletter. So getting you in the habit of taking, blogging and being able to generate this newsletter based off of news using our web tool. The blogs that you've created, and then generating maybe some of the social media posts, adding those there that you've created throughout the week, and creating images for your newsletter. So tomorrow we're going to kind of bring it all together to another sidekick. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this content valuable, please share this with your friends and coworkers. And for that, I thank you. Till next time.